We're jumping right into a situation that is unfolding as we speak, in the Strait of Hormuz, which is, one of the most critical maritime arteries on the entire planet. This isn't looking back at history. We're analyzing a high-stakes chess match that's happening right now, and the results have immediate, real-world consequences for all of us.
So let me ask you this. What happens when a global artery clots? This is a choke point that carries almost a fifth of the world's oil. When it freezes up, the shock waves, they go everywhere, instantly. And for a few really tense days, the world got dangerously close to finding out just how bad that could be. And this is what it looked like. A ghost fleet. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars of oil and cargo just sitting there. These massive tankers were all clustered up in these holding patterns, basically creating huge traffic jams on the ocean out of sheer uncertainty and, frankly, fear. The artery was clogged shut. But then, something started to give. And that brings us to our first section, the ice breaks. We're going to look at how this incredibly tense standstill started to morph into a very delicate, coordinated movement. This is the very beginning of a potential solution.
Okay, so a really crucial shift is happening. At first, what we saw was just a few ships making these hesitant, almost random moves. You could say they were just testing the waters. But now we're seeing a sustained, purposeful flow of ships moving east out of the Gulf. This isn't just a few probes anymore. This looks like a real plan in action.
Now, this release isn't a free-for-all. It's what's being called a staggered system. So over on the Oman side, ships are actually beginning to peel off from their holding patterns and make a run for it. But at the same time, over in the Western Gulf near Dubai, the tankers are still packed in tight, waiting to see if this whole new system is actually going to hold up.
And that system, it has a name. This is really the heart of our explainer today, the soft corridor. So let's break down exactly what this new, low-visibility strategy is and how they're using it to thread the needle through this danger zone. So what in the world is a soft corridor? Well, it's not a full-on military convoy with warships glued to the side of tankers. Think of it more as a coordinated transit. The ships are moving in these loosely aligned patterns, not tight, perfect formations, and they're being watched over by distant intelligence and naval assets. The whole idea is to create a predictable flow without painting a giant high-value target for anyone.
This soft corridor strategy is actually a really clever middle ground. Look at the two extremes. On one side, you have random movement, which is just total chaos. On the other, you have a full military convoy, super visible, super resource-heavy. This new system, it gets the coordination and the naval overwatch, but it ditches the tight, provocative formation. It's all about managed risk.
And we can actually see where this corridor is taking shape. Analysts have confirmed that the southern corridor, over on the Oman side, is the main active lane right now. There's a little bit of traffic in the central lane, but as you might guess, the northern corridor, the one closest to Iran, is seeing almost no use at all. They're carving out the path of least resistance in real time.
But here's the paradox, right? The moment you start putting the solution into action is actually the moment of maximum risk. Getting these ships moving is, believe it or not, way more dangerous than when they were just sitting still.
A ship is at its most vulnerable the second it breaks off from the relative safety of that big cluster and heads into the strait, basically by itself. It's isolated, it's exposed, and it's totally committed to its path. That switch from being static to being in motion, that's the single most dangerous part of this whole journey.
In fact, this isn't just a general feeling of danger. Analysts have pinpointed exactly 4 critical hot zones, 4 specific places where an incident is most likely to happen as this soft corridor tries to form. 4 potential points of failure.
So here they are. First, obviously, the choke point itself, the narrowest part of the strait. But just as critical are the departure zones, those exits from the Fujairah and Sohar staging areas where the ships first have to break away from the pack. And finally, the dispersal lanes farther out where they start to separate. Every single one of them is a potential flashpoint. So, this all leads to the one big question. Is this going to work? We are at a tipping point. And there are some very specific signals we can all watch for over the next 12 to 24 hours that will tell us if this incredibly fragile system is holding or if it's about to break.
We're basically looking at 2 completely different futures here. Success looks like a steady, continuous stream of ships, all keeping a safe distance, while those big holding clusters we saw earlier start to shrink. Failure? Well, failure is just as obvious. Ships suddenly stopping or turning back, tankers scrambling for the safety of the cluster, and the whole corridor just collapsing.
So, here's your checklist for stability. 3 things to watch. 1. Is the stream of ships continuous, or is it just a few short, nervous bursts? 2. Are the tankers keeping a safe, consistent distance from each other? And 3, maybe most important, are those massive parking lots of tankers actually getting smaller? If you can say yes to all 3, then the corridor is working.
And we have to get our heads around just how fragile this moment is. We're in that transition phase right now, and historically, these phases are incredibly short. We're talking 24 to 72 hours. It is hypersensitive to any miscalculation, any incident at all. After that window, the system either finds its rhythm and stabilizes, or it falls apart completely.
So what do the experts think is going to happen? Well, the current assessment, the most likely outcome, is that what we're seeing now just continues. A staggered but steady flow that slowly, over time, carves out a recognizable, even if it's unofficial, transit corridor. You could call it cautious optimism with a really heavy emphasis on cautious.
And that really brings us to the bottom line, a direct quote from the situation report itself. The system is partially functioning, but not stable. So yes, movement has replaced total gridlock, which is a huge step, but the entire operation is still balanced on a knife's edge. It's a ghost corridor that could vanish just as quickly as it appeared, leaving all of us to wonder what happens next.